What's good, people? It's about their time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. Look, I want to say something about two fighters. And a lot of people have been saying things about these guys, adding them to the mix to fight certain people when you're looking at how certain divisions stack up and who you like to see fight. Certain divisions they have good fighters, but not really huge names, like the 140 division, for example. Okay, I'm gonna talk about two fighters. One is a heavyweight, and one is a 100 is a junior welterweight. Louis King Kong Ortiz and Adrien Broner. First off, in conversation, these two names came up, and even like on a channel where we're talking about, if you look at who's who. Now, people for some reason are shitting on people like Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor, and I'm like, you guys must not really know who they are. They're two of the best fighters at that division. Yeah, but they ain't fought nobody. Yeah, but they ain't. And do you realize Josh Taylor is the unified champion at that division? Yeah, but he ain't fight Teofimo. They're in two different divisions, so Teofimo has to come up to fight him. I don't think Josh Taylor wants to go down in weight. Some people, it's not about trying to satisfy people. People are people. They're going to be who they are. And even if they have a completely stupid opinion, a completely biased, ignorant opinion, they're still going to have their opinions. But my thing is, they're putting Adrien Broner over Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor, and other fighters at 140, when Adrien Broner hasn't done anything in a long time. The last fight he had was with a C-class fighter who most people feel like he actually won. Adrien Broner, listen. Adrien Broner's a guy that when he fight, I really want to see Adrien win. Adrien is too inactive. He's not dedicated, and he just has too much nonsense going on around him. Too many distractions, too many things that he won't allow himself to fully devote himself to this sport. And understand this. And when I say that, I don't mean abandon your family, everything. No. Push everybody aside, just boxing. I mean, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. But no. I don't feel like, no, you don't ever kick your family to the curb. If anything, what people understand, you're training. You're staying focused. Okay? When is the last time you've seen anything with Adrien Broner training? When is the last time you've seen a video of him in the gym really putting work in? I'm not talking about sitting on the side of the ring chewing gum and talking shit about everybody. I'm not talking about going to or coming from somebody's fight. Him training. What's his next fight? He's too inactive. And he's already, 32, 33, something like that? He's let his better years slip by. He was crying broke, right? And, not that I try to get in this business, but from what I understand, he made, 13 million in his last fight? So maybe now, okay, I got 13 million again. I'm good. I'm not hungry. Adrien Broner is not hungry, plain and simple. He's just not. There's no reason for you to not be in the gym training. When you're a grown man and have to ask your promoter, hey man, keep me busy, man. Keep me out of trouble. Keep me busy. Keep me out of trouble. This is a grown 30-plus-year-old man. He's not hungry. When you see Adrien Broner, he always looked like he's overweight. So, for you to put a guy, he may, even though with all his defeats, he may still be more popular than those guys. But as far as his career, look, he's a 3-time former world champion. He did what he did. Okay? But let's just be real. He never avenged his loss to Marcos Maidana. Why the rematch never happened? Don't know. He never avenged his loss to Sean Porter. Okay? Why that rematch never happened? It was mostly because of him. After that loss, he said, I'm not going to keep fighting these big welterweights. Well, who made you go up to 147? Nobody made you go up there. Okay. He never avenged his loss to Mikey Garcia. Why that rematch never happened, I don't know. He never avenged his loss to Manny Pacquiao. Why that rematch never happened, I don't know. They called the fight with him and Jesse Vargas a draw. Why they never had a rematch, I really don't know. But aside from the Jesse Vargas fight, was it really necessary for him to have a rematch with any one of those other guys? Do you guys think the outcome would have been any different? I believe he rematches Sean Porter, he loses again. He rematches Mikey Garcia, he loses again. He rematches Manny Pacquiao, he loses again. He rematches Marcos Maidana. Well, now, I don't know. Because from what I understand, Marcos Maidana was like 210 pounds, came back, started training, and decided, nah, I'm gonna stay retired. But I mean, when at least while Marcos Maidana was still active, I think he fight him again, he loses again. I don't see him beating any of them. Vargas, okay, maybe he wins, maybe he loses. I don't know. But right now, Adrien Broner is not the same fighter. He hasn't been for a long time. He just runs his mouth and do a lot of crazy shit that attracts attention. And because of those antics, people want to see him. Overall, his prime is gone. He's lost his hunger. And for some reason, people think that a guy's just going to jump in the gym, turn on the switch, and all of a sudden he's back better than ever. No, that dedication needs to be there. And Adrien Broner doesn't have it. Every active fighter that holds any weight right now, and you see at least training videos, and when you don't, and you hear a whole lot of things being said about this fighter, a lot of people always hate, oh, they just hating, they're hating. No, a lot of times if you think about it, it's like, what are these fighters doing? I mean, we're talking about, look, Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos' fight has been postponed 4 times. Are y'all still waiting for that fight? I know I'm not. I don't even care if the fight ever happens or not. It's too much nonsense. You know, too much, way too much. If you are going to fight and fight and fight, and all of a sudden now I got millions of dollars, and then hunger starts to die, you still can have all the talent in the world. But when that hunger starts to die, it becomes different. You become different. Okay? Another thing is, with Adrien, that hunger did die. And you can still see his skills deteriorating. He is scared to take a punch. He fights enough to try to not get knocked out, but he doesn't do enough to win. He's clearly not the same fighter. And when he went down to fight Mikey Garcia, he said, I never lost at 140. He said, I feel disrespected because y'all acting like y'all don't know who I am. Adrien Broner, what you did in the past is what you did in the past. But going into the next fight and us watching you lose to these guys, I mean, you know the funny thing that I think a lot of people forget? You do know Adrien Broner was the favorite going into the Sean Porter fight, right? And the majority of people thought, like, oh, he's going to smash Sean Porter. What happened? What happened? And I'm going to tell you something that I get so sick of hearing. You know, like, I really don't like this saying. Oh, it's a moral victory. No. You go up and wait and say, well, he ain't knocked me out though. That's a moral. What the fuck is a moral victory? I know what it means. It's a rhetorical question. The fuck is a moral victory? I got a loss on my record, but I didn't get knocked out. Somehow I feel good about that. I got a loss on my record, but I broke his ribs and his jaw, but I still lost. I mean, really, a loss is a loss. A win is a win. Done cleanly, okay? Y'all know what I mean. I don't mean by all means necessary. I mean, bottom line, if you legitimately win, you win. No, all that, I went the distance. He couldn't knock me out. You know, he dropped me, but I got up and I came back. And no. All that moral victory nonsense. And when guys move up in weight, they say things like that. I came up to his weight class, he couldn't knock me out. You know, fans that want to see that guy win resort to that moral victory nonsense as well. You know, nah, that's for suckers, man. Plain and simple. That's for suckers. I will give you your props and your credit for going there and giving your best, and that's all we can say, man. You put it out there though. You know what I'm saying? You went for yours. But a moral victory, nah. I fought the guy supposed to be the best in the world, and I didn't get knocked out. Nah, that's some suckers. That's sucker shit. Nah, that's some sucker shit. I mean, cool. You didn't get knocked out. Fine. That's right. You went the distance. You did your best. You did what you had to do. It wasn't enough. Okay, cool. But once you start talking that moral victory stuff, it's like, oh wow. So the win wasn't important. It was just you wanted to survive. And if you fight that way, pretty much you're gonna get booed until you start to really fight to try to win. Nobody really wants to see you again. So, like I said, Adrien Broner does a lot of things to put himself in a position where people want to see what he's gonna do, but he's starting to lose fans now. And the numbers in that last fight was way down. How many times do you want to see a guy come in the ring and lose? And for you to struggle like that and fight a C-class fighter, and really had a majority of people saying, nah, Adrien lost that fight, man. Biased fans can say what they want. It's not going to change the outcome of anything. I think that when people are saying these things that they're overlooking, they're really overlooking. You have fighters out there that deserve, you know, the credit that they get, and they deserve the TV time. Whether it's pay-per-view, whatever, they deserve to be in that position where let us show the world what we can do. So all this talk about knocking the guys at 140 and then saying, oh, Adrien Broner versus this guy and that guy, and you're matching him up with people that's not even in the same weight classes in. And, you know, it came out of his own mouth, I'm not going to keep fighting these big guys at 147. So, I mean, honestly, I don't see Adrien beating no top guy at 140. I just don't. Or any weight class for that matter that he can make. I don't see him beating a top guy. You know, Adrien Broner, if you struggle with a C-class fighter, that means you are a C-class fighter. What you did in the past was then. Simple. Now, Luis Ortiz. Look, Luis Ortiz has never been a world champion. Okay? Never. So needless to say, he never unified. Okay? He was never undisputed. He never held one title. He's not beaten an elite fighter, ever. Anybody else, Luis Ortiz's age is old, but somehow he's not. And people keep throwing his name in the hat. Like, oh, AJ's ducking him. AJ's scared to fight him. Oh, Luis Ortiz will knock out Tyson Fury. Oh, Luis Ortiz will beat this person. Okay, wait a minute. What is Luis Ortiz's biggest accomplishment? Exactly. There's nobody on his resume that's elite. And he's won. The most memorable thing that he's done, honestly, was hurt Wilder in that 7th round. 6th or 7th round, whichever. That's the most memorable thing he's done. Couldn't finish him. And basically, other than that, I mean, he knocked Malik Scott down 5 times. But I mean, in a losing effort to Wilder twice. It's the only guy that he's fought that's a top guy. I don't give a fuck what Malik Scott was ranked, or whatever. I don't know. I don't care what he was ranked at the time. It doesn't matter. Malik Scott is not a good fighter. People, oh, he's very technical. How are you so skilled and talented but can't beat no fucking body? So, I mean, at the end of the day, no. Gerald Washington was outboxing Deontay Wilder until he got knocked out in the 5th round. Duhampas. You know, there's certain guys, even Molina was giving him some work. There's certain people that this guy was struggling with. He beat Malik Scott in what, 1 round? And the sad part about that is That's Malik Scott. That's what he's known for. More than anything else in his career. Is taking a dive against Wilder. That's how most people feel. And that's what they always say. Regardless, who's on Luis Ortiz's resume that he's beaten. So when you look on there and see Deontay Wilder's name twice, remember, Deontay won both of those fights. I don't give a shit that he was getting outboxed. He still knocked Luis Ortiz out. Both times. So how is AJ, first off, Luis Ortiz, you don't have much to gain fighting him. Beating that guy right now, especially, Luis Ortiz doesn't fight. He barely fights. He doesn't look good in certain fights. I mean, the past 5 years of his career, look at who he's fought. Look at what he's done. Look at how, Luis Ortiz looked bad. Two or three straight back-to-back fights, he didn't even look good. And all of a sudden, he gets in there again with lesser competition. He beats them, and people are going, Luis Ortiz versus AJ next. Luis Ortiz versus Tyson Fury next. Luis Ortiz versus Dillian White. Let me remind y'all of something. AJ and Eddie Hearn gave him the offer. He turned that down and fought Wilder. So I don't understand how anybody's running from Ortiz. I don't see him beating Tyson Fury. I don't see him beating AJ. I don't see him beating Wilder. I don't see him beating Dillian White. And in all honesty, what does beating Luis Ortiz bring to the table when you beat a guy who has a weak resume? So with all these skills that everybody says he has, I've seen him fight, and I've been saying this for the longest. I think he's a decent fighter. Nothing special about Luis Ortiz. Oh, those great Cuban fights. Listen, Luis Ortiz is Cuban. Great. He's a decent fighter. You understand what I'm saying? That's done nothing as a heavyweight. Just like Malik Scott has done nothing as a fucking heavyweight. Nothing. What have they done? But because you hold a certain role or position, we're going to give him credit for that anyway. For what? For what? And it's not to knock these guys. It's just being realistic. Look at what I'm saying and look at their careers. What has Luis Ortiz done? Who has he beat? For anybody to even keep talking about him as an elite level fighter. I mean, it is what it is. When you are putting guys' names in a category without them really doing anything to get there, isn't that the same thing that these sanctioning bodies do? All of a sudden you look and go, wait a minute, who is this guy that they got ranked number 2, number 3? Who the fuck? I never even heard of this guy. Who was he beat? Same exact thing. This is not about who I like or don't like. You know what? I'm going to tell you the one fight that Luis Ortiz could have right now. One fight. And not that it does anything, whether they win, lose, or draw, but somebody like Derek Chisora. Because Derek Chisora has fought some tough guys. He's been in wars. He's battle-tested, but he's a journeyman now. I don't care nothing about, but he does, but he's a journeyman. Luis Ortiz is a journeyman. That's the type of competition you put him in there with somebody like Derek Chisora. Let's see what happens. Luis Ortiz, he hasn't even fought a Charles Martin or Adam Kalinacki. He hasn't even fought guys like that. Hellenius, F.A. Job. He hasn't even fought guys like that. So, I mean, why are we putting him in a category with Wilder? After Wilder beat him twice. With AJ, who offered him and he chose to fight Wilder. With Tyson Fury, dealing with, why are we even putting Luis Ortiz in this conversation? This is what I don't understand about people. You get pissed off when you see ranking systems and see fighters in there that don't belong there. I mean, let's not, last year was it? They had Bermane Stiverne ranked up there. Like, what the fuck did Bermane Stiverne do? Why is he even up there? You got a guy named Trevor Bryant who holds a title that nobody talks about. Okay, let Luis Ortiz fight that guy. Let him fight Trevor Bryant or whatever. Let him fight him. Go take his title. Fight guys. There's guys that he could fight that those fights are not happening. And people, oh, that boogeyman bullshit. Boogeyman for what? Luis Ortiz has done nothing as a heavyweight. Let's just be honest, man. I don't care if you like him or not. And hey, I'm not here to babysit your feelings. I don't care about that. I'm just being blatantly honest. Luis Ortiz has done nothing. He was a decent fighter at best. And, you know, I can understand people saying, look, on a business level, the guy doesn't bring much to the table. He's not a draw. And it's a fight that you have to be the draw. Because he's not, who knows him? He's not that well known. And for the people that do know him, well, is he a household name? Is he a draw? So there you have it. All this boogeyman stuff. Oh, see, his low risk is high reward. No, what they say is high risk and low reward fighting him. Yeah, it's not high risk. It's just low reward. Luis Ortiz is a decent fighter at best. He still, when I watch him, I just don't understand all of this talk. And that's really what it comes from. People start giving you little nicknames, and all of a sudden everybody starts going along with this. And so now he's the boogeyman because Deontay Wilder called him the boogeyman. You know, no. Look, Oscar Rivas is a guy that I haven't seen in a while. Fight Oscar Rivas. Fight someone to prove that you are on that level. Because when you fought Deontay Wilder, okay, who's one of the big three, you was outboxing him 2 times and lost the same way both times. So how do we just automatically, oh, but he'll beat JAJ, or he'll beat Fury, he'll beat White? Fight Joe Joyce. Fight Daniel Dubois. He's up and coming. Fight one of those guys. When is the last time Luis Ortiz fought anybody? And we're still talking about Luis Ortiz. This is what I understand about you so-called fight fans. Because you guys are not fight fans. You're fans of fighters. You're talking about Luis Ortiz and Adrien Broner. 2 guys, you know, Adrien Broner at least is a former 3-time world champion, but can we keep bringing that up like that's supposed to stabilize him right now, what he did in the past? No. Judging him by his last fight, I wouldn't put him in the ring with Josh Taylor or Regis Prograis or several fighters. But regardless, to say that those guys are trash and say Adrien Broner, you're trying to put him up. I even heard somebody saying Adrien Broner versus Teofimo Lopez. Well, Lopez wins that fight. He wins that fight. And he goes to 140, wouldn't make a difference. Just like Mikey Garcia came up to 140. It doesn't make a difference. Look, when he went back to 140 rather to fight Mikey Garcia, it doesn't make a difference. He came up, he had one fight, he didn't look good, and he hasn't done anything since. And that was with a C-class fighter. So what is Adrien Broner going to do when he steps up in competition again? If, like I said, his better years are behind him. What he's done, you can't take away from him, but it stops where it stops. Luis Ortiz has done nothing at all. Absolutely nothing as an elite fighter. Nothing. People are calling him an elite fighter. Deontay Wilder fans that want to, you know, put him on the pedestal to make it seem like, yo, Deontay beat one of the best heavyweight out there. I remember one time, 7-8 Sports talking about, oh, Luis Ortiz will beat everybody on Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury's resume. He's the best fighter. He's better than everybody on their resume. Klitschko ain't shit. He's old and yeah. Kyle really jumped over the fucking moon. He really did. You believe me? Anyway, we're gonna talk realistic. Don't get all in your feelings and just say stupid shit. Cause I don't know when you're talking to me if you're on drugs, if you're high, you're drunk, if you're just stuck on stupid. Like I don't get it sometimes. People just say things and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why are we bringing up Adrien Broner as a formidable opponent for a guy that's an A, B class fighter, and this guy can't even beat C class fighters anymore. He was gifted a win against a C class guy. Luis Ortiz has done nothing. Why are you bringing this guy up, putting him in the ring with AJ? You know, fight Pulev. Luis Ortiz, fight Pulev. It's funny, right? When AJ fought Pulev, who was a mandatory, oh man, you fight old ass Pulev, fuck that, give up the belt, then come in. Yeah, right. Pulev is old, even though he's younger than Luis Ortiz. I mean, it's weird. You guys are weird sometimes. Anyway, family, you got a lot of weirdos that drop in here every now and then, and you know, they go from your channel to other channels, and they like to have discussions on shit to where they don't even make any sense. So it is what it is. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I would catch y'all in the next video.